Cultural change. I've been around for a little while. I've lived quite a few years on this big, beautiful planet. Some of you may not think it's a big, beautiful planet, especially if you watch the news and keep up with most social media. But our culture has changed dramatically in the U.S. in the last 60 years, and I've watched it evolve. Is it for the best? I don't know if it's for the best, but it's happening regardless. We seem to have much more, do we really have much more promiscuity? I don't know if we have more promiscuity. It seems like we do, but then again, it's advertised more than it used to be. We've always had men and women who were promiscuous and liked to run around. Hell, I was one of them myself at one time. I, of course, don't do that today because I have other things that are more important. What keeps most men from being successful is chasing women until they hit their 40s or 50s and they start settling down a little bit and realize that that's not the most important thing. And also, once you procreate, once you produce offspring, you don't seem to have the desire, as compelling as you do before. Now, that's not everybody. Everybody's different, of course. But back to the cultural change, I know if you watch social media, some of the red pill stuff, and not just red pill, but some of the other men that have platforms will act like every woman is going to cheat on you. Every woman is going to be with 100 guys. Well, not 100. I'm exaggerating just a bit. Every woman's going to have I don't know how many partners before she turns 20 years old. So your chances of finding a good woman are slim to none. Well, I would say, in my opinion, that the chances are, if you consider a good woman a virgin or a woman who's only been with one or two guys, that is a little more difficult nowadays to find than it was back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I remember my first long-term girlfriend had only been with one other guy before me, and then after we broke up after 5 years, she married the next guy she was with, and that was common around the area where I lived. Although I didn't live in a city, city girls have always seemed to be different. I'm sure they're not all more promiscuous, but many of them are. But I would say the major difference now is it's advertised. We didn't have anything like OnlyFans. We didn't have instant access. Can I even say the word? That's ridiculous too. Instant access, PORN. Sometimes I feel like it's so ridiculous to not be able to use certain words on certain platforms. I don't know what the logic of that is, but that's another video. So we didn't have instant access to movies like we have now with women and men doing things like they do. The biggest thing we had back when I was young was a Playboy magazine or a Penthouse magazine. Yeah, that was a big deal. And once in a while, someone would have stag movies, which never interested me because if I can't do it, I certainly didn't enjoy really watching. But nowadays, we have this instant access PORN, and I think it changes the young women as well as the young men because they see this, non-realistic description of what it's like for men and women to be together, and they have these high expectations. To say nothing about the fantasization, the men have, mostly men, by watching this and pleasing themselves. And then they opt out of the dating game. And also, there was a time in the U.S. when you could walk up to a girl and talk to her or flirt with her or whistle at her, and they appreciated it. And it wasn't like you might get called out for it. Very strange changes. I don't know really where it's coming from or what the agenda is there, who's pushing that, or if it's just a natural evolution of society. I saw a video the other day of this girl was working in a Starbucks coffee shop. I guess it was Starbucks. And some guy was talking to her. I guess he was hitting on her, asking her out. Not actually physically hitting her. And some of the other girls wrote on a coffee cup lid and give it to her, I think, and said, "Oh, if you need help, just let us know and we'll call the police," or something. And so the guy was just asking her for a date. He was interested in her. And of course, people in the comments would say, well, you shouldn't do that while a person's working. Where are you supposed to meet people? I've heard you can't meet girls in the gym. You're not supposed to talk to them in the gym. You're not supposed to talk to them while they're at work. Actually, I talked to a girl at work, someplace I used to go all the time. This girl was flirting hard with me. I mean, I finally thought, well, I better ask her to do something. I mean, gee whiz, or she's eventually going to give up. So I told her, I said, hey, it was on a loudspeaker thing, so I really couldn't do anything until I saw her in person, which I had once before when I first started talking to her, but I wasn't sure if she was interested. So I just wrote in the back of her card, I said, hey, shoot me a text. I said, we'll meet up sometime. So anyway, I get a message from the manager later on that says, hey, don't be asking the girls out here because it makes them feel uncomfortable. And I'm thinking, what the hell? I never see her anywhere. You never get a chance to see people except maybe where they're working or at the gym. It's not like people are, I suppose, you're supposed to do everything online now, and that's definitely a cultural difference. People get uncomfortable. Well, how many men are comfortable asking a woman out? And how many women are comfortable when a guy comes up and flirts with them or asks them out or wants to do something with them or shows interest? If they like the guy, they're nervous. If they don't like the guy, they're nervous. So guess what? You're going to be a little uncomfortable. So if you want to live a life of comfort, you just want to live a life of dreariness and boring and glum, because it's all about being uncomfortable. I mean, I could see if a guy's going to a place and he's constantly barraging her and she don't want to go out with him. But how many times have you ever heard of a guy doing that and eventually they go out and they even get married? I can think of a few right offhand. A guy named Grant Cardone, he just pestered the hell out of his girlfriend, so he says, and eventually they got married. They've been together for many years, got a couple kids. So how do you draw the line there between harassment and persistence? I don't know. I've never had too much trouble with that, but I know in our culture it's very different today. I'm not saying a woman should be badgered, until she goes out with somebody, but many times a woman wants a man to persist, to show he's got a little character. And another time she wants him to leave him alone. So the man's supposed to guess all this on his own. So there was a time when it wasn't like that, and it is like that now. What's the solution? I really don't have an answer for that. Just be careful. I'd say approach a woman one time, and if she doesn't seem to be interested or give you some choosing signals, as Zaffy Kingdom says, you better just back off, because in today's society, you could be talking to the police for some kind of harassment or something. So that's a cultural difference, and you didn't have to worry about that back when I was young. And there was never any problems with, occasionally you'd hear a girl talking about, I wish that guy would leave me alone, but it never amounted to anything. I do find that if you go to other places in the world that it's quite different. Now, for example, in Romania, we was talking to a guy over there. I noticed the girls, I'd never catch them looking at us. But they would be looking, but they would never let you catch them looking, as opposed to the women here in the States nowadays. They'll blatantly look right at you and flirt with you. They're pretty bold. So the guy told me, he says, here you're expected to be a man. You're expected to walk up to the girl and tell her what you want. Now, in the States, if you do that, you can get yourself in trouble. As ridiculous as that sounds, if she likes you, it's okay. If she doesn't, it's harassment. So that's a definite cultural change. I know my son is 24. I have another son, 23. And a lot of his friends are opting out on the dating because of false accusations, different things like that. So about all this I've spoken about, I would have to say, get a passport, because it's not like that in every place in the world. And I'm sure maybe it's not like that every place in the U.S., although I don't know. I've never traveled every state in the U.S. I've traveled quite a few, but not recently, not for the last 10 or 20 years, although I have traveled out of the U.S. probably about 35 times or more, and plan to do so again. So not every place is like the West. So if you're having trouble here, get yourself in a position where you can travel out and meet different women from different cultures. And if you're a woman, maybe you would like to meet different types of men. Because I know I have a daughter, 18, and she wants a man like myself or like my sons, and she can't seem to find a man, a masculine man who's not afraid to be masculine. That doesn't mean you're a brute or anything like that. It just means that, you can take care of her. Uh, you're a leader. You're dominant but not domineering. And you know what you want to do. You know what you want as a man. You're working, you make good money, or you have a future ahead of you. Whatever it happens to be, but you're doing something with your life. Your goal and your mission is your first priority, not your woman. You're not looking for a mama. You're looking for a girlfriend. Someone who will admire you and look up to you, and someone who you will take care of and treat with respect. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, oh, you want some girl to admire you? Why not? I mean, if she ain't looking up to you like she's looking up to a movie star, you need to find another woman. If you're not her everything, then you need to find another woman. But she don't need to be your everything. Now, some people in our Western culture, which it has changed so much, will look at that and say, well, it should be 50-50, a partnership. Ain't nothing ever 50-50, for lack of a better way to say it. There's always a leader and there's always a follower. There is no 50-50. And most women want a traditional man anyway when it comes to finances. Few women want a man that they have to support. It's very rare. Few women want a house husband. Now, if they get one, they won't be satisfied with him, nor will they feel safe with him. For example, last night I woke up, there's no woman here, as you know. Most of you know I raised my kids, the last 6 kids, by myself for the last 12 years. But I woke up about 5 o'clock in the morning with somebody downstairs. Now I have a lot of kids in and out here, so I laid there and man, they kept making noise. I finally got up and went to the door and I said, hey, who is that down there? The light was on, but I couldn't see, of course, it's around the corner. Nobody answers. I said, I'll tell you what, I'm coming down there. I said, you either answer now or you'll wish you had. Still didn't hear anything. So I went, got my pants on, got my shotgun, walked downstairs, couldn't find anybody. Walked all through the house, there's nobody here. I guess they got out the door or something happened to them, I wasn't sure. So I went back upstairs and I called my daughter. I'd already went in her room, she was sleeping, but I thought, well, I'll call her, because I thought maybe I better go down and check the basement too. And I asked her if anybody had been here, and she said no. So I said, well, I'm going to come down and check again anyway. So I went down there, and she called one of my son's friends, and he had come in the house looking for something, and it was him. But I suppose when I opened the door, he was already out of the house, so he didn't hear me calling out to whoever was there. But do you think, okay, now if I was up here with my wife or girlfriend, do you think that it's, okay, honey, I went last time, it's your turn to go this time. You get the shotgun, you go down and see what's going on. I don't think so. How many women are going to want to do that in place of their man? Few, if any. And will they feel good with a man like that doesn't get up and go? I didn't think anything about, I just did what I had to do. I wasn't afraid. I just did it. Now, not that I'm some brave, marvelous man, but that's just the job of a man. I got kids here now, so I need to go down and see what's going on. Sound like they were in the living room, but who knows what they're going to go in there and, bother my daughter. I have another son sleeping in there. So I got to go check that out, make sure everything's okay, which I did. It was okay. I locked the doors. Everything was cool. We found out later it was one of my son's friends. And I told my daughter to tell him, hey, next time he come in, don't be coming in here like that in the middle of the night or early in the morning. I said, because it's kind of dangerous. But these are things a man does, and a man should be able to do. When you're out with your woman, walking down the street, if someone comes up and tries to assault your woman, you need to be man enough to protect her. She should not get hurt unless that guy can get through you first. A lot of people think this is Neanderthal type thinking, but I'm telling you, after thousands of years of evolution and women and men being together, this is what a woman expects from you. She may say she doesn't, but she does. And if you can't do that, she's not going to have the same respect for you that she would if you can do that for her and her kids. Do you think she's going to want to have kids with a man that she don't think can protect him? Now, if you live in one of these neighborhoods where the cops come every 5 minutes, if you call them or whatever, or they patrol your neighborhood, you're probably going to think you don't need that. And maybe you never will, and I hope that you don't. But what if you do? You don't think she'd feel safer with a man that can do something like that than one who can't? You need to be strong enough, fit enough, and that's the problem. Our culture, once again, The men are becoming soft. I shake a man's hand and I could break it with a squeeze. Well, maybe not break it, but I guarantee I could hurt him with a squeeze. Most men aren't doing anything unless they have a physical job. So there's been a lot of change with the women and the men. But here's the bright side. I've been living for 64 years. I'm in as good a shape as most men in their 20s. Okay? So if you want to be in the top 1%, really just take care of yourself, because a lot of men are getting obese, a lot of women are getting obese. So if you just take care of your body, physically, you're going to be in the top 1%. So that's the bright side. The competition is not high. So just do a little extra, do a little more than most men do. Not only physically, but mentally and spiritually, if you like. Work on yourself. And all these things that you try to chase will be attracted to you. And all you have to do is allow them to come into your life and feel like you deserve them. And whether you're in this culture, another culture, or whatever you want, whether it be a woman, money, success, whatever that means to you, you only have to allow these things to come into your life by just, we'll say, fixing yourself or making yourself better. And don't compete with anybody else. If you watch social media, you think, oh my God, I'll never be like these guys, because they show the top of the top. If you realize to be in the top 1% of the world of income earners, you only need to make about I think it's 120,000. I don't even know if it's over 100,000. Now in the U.S., if you make 150,000, I think it is, you're in the top 15% of income earners in the U.S. But when you put that out in the world, you're way up there in like top 1 to 5% of the income earners in the world. And that's not that hard to do in the U.S. Many people come here without high school educations. I don't have a high school education, and I have an income sufficient enough for me to travel whenever I want to, and I raise my 6 kids by myself, no child support, none of that. Although I did get state help, and the kids did get insurance, so that did help. But if I can do it, you guys can do it. And as I said, everything starts within you. Don't try to change the outer world. Fix the inner world. Fix the subjective world, and everything out there will mirror what you have accomplished within yourself. Okay, that's all I have time for today. Thanks for being here. I haven't been putting out very many videos because I've been really busy with other projects. But hit the like button and subscribe. And if you'd like me to speak on something, share it in the comments, and I'll be glad to do that. So thanks for being here. Take care. Have a great day.